to the Spark podcast with Solomon Park Research Labs. I'm Nancy Duong, the admin here. And today we have Wayne Kerr, our guest. He is the COO, the Chief Operating Officer here at Solomon Park. He helps a lot with sales, internal operations, and today he's going to tell us more about lipid reference controls and more about the commutable measures. Hi, Wayne. Thanks for coming on today.
Hi, thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Hi. So to start out, I wanted to ask, in your time talking to lab managers, what is the most common frustration they have when their lipid panels start to drift or show a bias that they can't quite pin down?
Uh, I would say how much time and resources it takes to get a resolution and get your analyzer back up and running smoothly and correctly. Internally at Solomon Park, we use our commutable controls with known reference value assignment, so that by itself is a huge help. Also, we monitor our lab performance with an online software called CQM, or Commutable Quality Measures, where we enter our data, and CQM allows us to see how everything is performing. We get to view trends, and we're able to more quickly pinpoint what the issue could be before it becomes a problem. I would say that is the biggest help in that scenario.
Okay, great. So most labs are used to like consensus-based controls where they compare to like an average of their peers. Why would you say that's actually a dangerous way to calibrate a high-stakes clinical lab?
Good question. Most clinical labs are familiar with consensus-based controls in proficiency testing or quality assurance, where results are compared to an average from other participating labs, or they call the peer group mean. It sounds reasonable because it keeps everyone aligned, but in high-stakes clinical testing, it's actually quite dangerous. If the majority of the labs are using the same flawed method, reagent, or calibrator that has a built-in bias, the group average becomes biased too. Everyone ends up in agreement, but possibly wrong in the same direction. Your lab calibrates to that same flawed consensus, and the error spreads across the entire network. This can create a false sense of security. Labs can pass some of the proficiency testing surveys or look good on paper, but their results aren't truly accurate to the patient's real biology. For critical tests like troponin for heart attacks, HbA1c for diabetes management, or cancer markers, even a small systematic shift can push patients across the key decision cutoffs, leading to misdiagnosis, wrong treatment, or missed opportunities. Another issue is that many proficiency samples aren't commutable. They behave differently across the different platforms due to the matrix effect. So tweaking to match a consensus can actually make real patient results worse. A better approach is accuracy-based or trueness-based calibrators anchored to independent reference methods or certified standards, not just peer agreement. In patient care, we need results that are right, not just consistent with everyone else.
Absolutely. So Salmon Park is known for the C37-A manufacturing method. Can you explain why the fresh frozen serum is a game changer compared to the standard freeze-dried or lyophilized kits most big box suppliers would provide?
Sure, Solon Park is recognized in the clinical lab community for championing the CLSI C37-A protocol developed with the CDC in the late 1990s, which uses a fresh, frozen, off-the-clot serum as a reference material. Unlike the widely used lyophilized freeze-dried controls, calibrators, and PT materials from major suppliers, fresh frozen serum undergoes minimal processing. It's collected carefully with no additives or drying steps, then rapidly frozen at ultra-low temperatures. This approach is revolutionary because it maintains excellent commutability. The material behaves virtually the same as a real patient fresh serum sample across different analyzers and methods. Lyophilized products often require stabilizers and processing that alter the natural matrix, proteins, lipids, etc., introducing matrix effects that cause the materials to perform differently on various platforms. Labs can calibrate accurately to the processed material consensus value, yet still produce biased results for actual patient samples. By preserving the native matrix C37-A fresh frozen materials, delivering high commutability references, especially for analytes, analytes like lipids and cholesterol, leading to more accurate calibrations, truer results aligned with the clinical reality, and reduces hidden bias in high-stakes patient testing.
Gotcha. So our LRC kits, I know aren't just one level. They have a high normal, low normal, and abnormal sample. Why is it critical for a lab to see their performance across that entire spectrum rather than just a single point?
Good question. Actually, our LRC controls work as calibrators and controls. The high, our Cal and QC is actually abnormally high. Our high normal is in the normal range, and our low is quite low. So they can be used, as I said, as calibrators and controls. The difference is that within this bracket, they have reference values that are very, very accurate. So if you use that in calibration and checks, you're going to be more on the true value of that analyte.
Great. So I know it's a huge point of pride for us that the National Institute of Standards and Technology, College of American Pathologists, CAP, and the CDC uses our products. So what would you say that says about the level of trust the industry has in our commutable serum?
I hope a lot. And of course, those are some amazing organizations and leaders in our industry. So it does give us a huge sense of pride. But again, all of our clients give us a huge sense of pride. We're proud to provide important commutable products to a variety of clients domestically and internationally for decades now.
For sure. We love all our clients. Um, so when a lab is preparing for like the CAP survey or the CDC LSP program, how do they use our LRC kits as a pre-exam to make sure they pass without any surprises?
Our commutable serum controls aren't a one-size-fits-all solution. It really depends on the specific analyte in the proficiency testing or survey program that you're running or participating in. For example, if your focus is lipids, like the LSP lipid standardization program or accuracy-based lipid survey, our LRC lipid reference control kits are an excellent choice. But if the program targets things like lipoproteins or vitamin D, we'd point you to our commutable lipoprotein controls or our vitamin D specific ones instead. Labs can run these commutable controls right on their analyzers for both calibration and day-to-day quality control. They get a certificate of analysis with the known reference values, so they can check, is my analyzer hitting the true value? Is it solidly in range or just scraping by or worse, out of range? This levels the playing field, especially for networks with multiple analyzers, brands across sister labs or even within the same company. Everyone gets the same reliable benchmark. Here's why it's so helpful. If you're used to a brand-specific non-commutable control in your routine work, your system might look perfectly in control day to day. But when you test the blind samples from the survey, which have a true reference value that you don't know when you're testing it, and suddenly your results are way off the mark compared to the gold standard value, by prepping and verifying your analyzers with our highly commutable materials first, you're much more likely to nail the survey. It boosts your analyzer's trueness, so when those participants' samples come through blind, your result aligns closely with the real clinical reference values, giving you a better shot at success and more confidence in your patient reporting.
So, if you could give one piece of advice to a lab director who is currently seeing a 3 to 4 shift in their lipid data, what would it be?
I could give one piece of advice to a lab director who's noticing a consistent 3-4% or higher shift in their lipid data. I would say like total cholesterol or triglycerides, HDL, running systematically high or low compared to what they expect or what the surveys show. It would be this. Don't just tweak your routine controls or assume it's a minor analyzer drift. Verify your analyzer's trueness using highly commutable reference controls first. A shift like that is often not random noise. It's frequently a sign of hidden bias or a matrix effect. Your day-to-day brand-specific controls, the non-commutable ones most labs rely on, can make everything look perfectly in control because they're optimized for the specific platform. But when those same samples hit a proficiency survey or accuracy-based program like the CDC's lipid standardization program or CAP's accuracy-based lipid survey, the blinded samples with true reference values reveal the offset. That bias can push results outside of acceptable limits for total cholesterol and others per NCP guidelines and affect patient interpretations. My advice, grab commutable frozen serum controls like our LRC kits for lipids and run them as both calibrators and even daily checks. Compare your results directly to the known reference values on the certificate of analysis. If you're seeing that same shift against the true value, you've found the culprit. Your analyzer isn't aligned to the clinical gold standard. Adjust your calibration accordingly and re-verify. This step often resolves the issue quickly and gives you confidence that your patient, your patient lipids are accurate, not just precise. It's a small upfront effort, but it prevents bigger headaches downstream, like failed surveys, clinical questions, or retesting patients. In high-stakes lipid testing, trueness to the real reference value matters more than anything.
Absolutely. So my final question for you is that shipping fresh frozen material is a specialized task. How do we ensure that that perfect calibration we create in Burien, Washington is exactly what the lab receives after it travels across the country or wherever?
Absolutely. Shipping fresh frozen materials is specialized, and you're right to ask, how do we make sure the perfect calibration we achieve here in Burien arrives exactly the same at your lab across the country without any degradation or shift? The shorter answer is we treat every shipment like it's carrying the gold standard reference it is. Here's how we lock it in, that integrity from our freezers to yours. First, we follow strict CLSI C37-A principles, not just in preparation, but throughout the entire cold chain. The serum is snap frozen at ultra low temperatures right after off the clock collection, then stored and packaged in those same cryogenic conditions to preserve the native metrics. No additives, no compromises. For shipping, we use validated dry ice packaging designed specifically for deep frozen biologicals. We're taking high capacity insulated shippers packed with plenty of dry ice, enough to maintain temperatures well below -70 Celsius for the full transit time, even with delays or hot weather routing. These are the same rigorous steps used for ultra cold biologics and vaccines. We also validate stability rigorously. Long-term frozen stability studies have shown these materials hold their assigned reference value for months or years under proper ultra-cold storage and short-term shipping excursions. Even simulated multi-day dry ice runs don't introduce measurable changes to key analytes like lipids, cholesterol, or others we target. Bottom line, by the time it lands on your bench, thaws per our simple instructions, no refreezing cycles, controlled thaw, and you run it, you're working with the exact same commutable material we calibrate and value assigned here in our lab. It's extra effort on our end, but for high stakes patient lipid results, it's non-negotiable. We've shipped thousands of these kits nationwide and internationally with consistent success. Most labs tell us they see the same tight performance as if we handed it to them in person.
Well, thank you, Wayne, for joining us today. If anyone would like to reach out or have any more questions, please feel free to contact us. Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you.